Hello and welcome back to the When You're podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're Thanksgiving shopping. It's that time of the year, folks, and you got to get ready for being in that kitchen. So, sometimes we're not all cooks, we're not all chefs, but somebody out there is. Somebody else out there has to cook. Somebody else out there has to go get the stuff to cook. So I thought it'd be a great idea to start talking about like when you go shopping, what to expect, what not to expect, and then, trying to figure out what is the best way to do Thanksgiving shopping. Is it all at once? Is it little by little? Is it like, do you get one thing from one store, or maybe do you like look online for like, ooh, who has like the best, stuff here or there, you know what I mean? But anyways, to get all of that out of the way, right? All right, so let's just get into it. It's just like, in order to begin all of this Thanksgiving shopping, you have to have a head start. It all starts with getting ahead, focusing directly on, okay, what exactly do I want to make, and everybody knows the classic stuff, right? But then once you get the classic stuff out of the way, you're like, and it really depends on how many people you're feeding that day. But let's just start with the head start, okay? November is probably the worst time to start Thanksgiving shopping. You know why? Because all of your favorite stuff is already taken, okay? Turkey prices have gone through the roof because they just throw them out there like crazy this time of the season, right? Then, you know what happens? Guess what happens, dude? So they get you to pay a huge amount of money last month for Halloween, right? They get you to spend money on candy, costumes, decorations, and all that, stuff that I already covered last time, right? They make you spend a lot of money on things that you don't necessarily need, but that you want to do for the spooky season. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if you wanted to get a head start on things, I think the latest possible time you get started was last month. If you want to be early, probably late September. All right. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just saying, if you want to get a head start, like if you really want to get a head start, okay, late September, you know what I mean? If you do it like at the beginning of September, it's like, you're probably going to waste a little bit of food here and there, right? Unless it's like boxed, canned, or can be frozen, which most of this stuff can be, but you don't want it sitting in there for too long, okay? You want it just right. So anyways, you get a little bit of a head start. So that's why last month, while everybody's hanging around at the Halloween section of the store, hanging around, doing their own thing, buying candy, getting their kids' costumes, right? Getting bags of candy for trick-or-treaters, right? This is what you do. This is what happens. You have to go to you have to go find a bird. You have to go get your turkey. All right? You start with the big stuff first, and then you slowly but surely go down the list, all right? So Halloween is really the catalyst for the start of the next holiday, right? And then everybody, as soon as Halloween ends, everybody wants to jump straight to Christmas, all right? I get it, you know what I mean? But it's just an example of how, like, we try to get ahead of these things. We try to get into the spirit of things a lot sooner than we need to, all right? There's a huge dinner that comes before Christmas, okay? We can't just jump a holiday, all right? So everybody wants to jump to Christmas so that way they have all of November to prepare and to set up and do all this other stuff, right? That can't happen, all right? That's why last month, as soon as October hits, it has to be Halloween. You gotta do Halloween decorations. You gotta set up everything. You gotta do it quick. You know what I mean? That way you can enjoy that time, and then you can prepare for the next holiday, which is this one, Thanksgiving. So that October period where it's just like they're shoving, Halloween down your throat. That's the time to start looking at, okay, it's Thanksgiving time. I got to start making adjustments in my life, and I got to start preparing for the next one, while also keeping an open mind to the spooky season, all right? Still enjoying that time, which was great. Next, you have to think about, okay, well, how much family are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Are we talking about a big family gathering for Thanksgiving or a small family gathering? You know what I mean? You gotta know your you got to know what you're working with. You know what I mean? It's like if you own a restaurant, you got to know who are your regulars, what can you usually expect. If you're not used to cooking for a lot of people, you know what I mean? Like the past, like, let's say 3 Thanksgivings, you've only done like, you know, close, small circle Thanksgiving style, right? But then all of a sudden everybody's like, let's do it over at your place. And you're just like, I guess, you know, I could do that, right? So you gotta start figuring out, okay, how many people are going to actually eat? How much can serve? What? Who's going to get this? Do I get too much? Do I get too little? Right? Now, in that event, it's always better to go big. It's always better to like get a bunch of food, you know, for either or, you know what I mean? If you have like a small gathering, you get like an appropriate amount of food, right? So that way everybody gets like some leftovers or whatnot. But you also have to figure out, okay, what are their likes and dislikes, you know? Because some people may like some things, some other people may not like some things. So you got to kind of figure out your menu, you know, based on other people, right? You can obviously do the classics, but then here and there, you could be like, well, does anybody want to bring anything? Does anybody have anything that they're allergic to? Is anybody vegan? You know, you have to figure out your menu. You have to figure out your options. You have to figure out what else can I add? What else can I bring to the table? Literally. Figuring out how old your odd, you know, figuring out how old everybody is. So the person, you know, a 7-year-old does not eat the same as a 97-year-old. You know what I mean? There's that 90-year age gap makes all the difference, right? So the 90-year-old probably really enjoys, you know what? The 97-year-old probably really enjoys a nice cranberry sauce with like a little bit of turkey. You know what I mean? And some, you know what? Let's say some stuffing. You know what I mean? And then you got the little 7-year-old who likes macaroni and cheese, mashed potatoes, ham. You know, they like all of that stuff, right? They don't want any greens. They don't want any vegetables. They don't want any of that. So you have to be like, okay, well, if they're going to constantly eat it, you know what I mean? I can't just leave them unhungry. You know what I mean? I got to prepare for it. So, you know, things like that, you got to put into your mind. You have to think about as you're getting ready to shop. You know, you have to think about those things. Put it on the list. Think about, okay, well, who's going to like what, where, how is it all going to fit? You know what I mean? And then, of course, the big one, how many people are coming? If it's like just immediate family, like people, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be so crazy. But if it's your friends and then your friend's friends and then your friend's family, you know, if you're having a huge gathering like some people have, then you have to kind of think to yourself. You have to think outside the box here. You have to go like, okay, I need to prepare for this level of food. And if I'm not prepared, I'm going to mess up on the day of, and I'm not going to be organized. The person the most organized during Thanksgiving is the smartest person in the whole world. Okay? And that starts right now, organizing right now by spending this time figuring out, okay, who's coming, who's not coming. If they don't come, then we're going to have extra. If we have extra, then it doesn't really matter. But if we have too little and we have more people coming in, I need to be prepared, you know? So it's always about thinking about the next step. And how much food is too much food? You know, too big enough, big food, small food. What are we working with here, right? Are we going to get one big turkey, or is everybody going to get like their own small little turkey? You know, their own little frozen little bird. How does that work? How does it all move forward? How do we make it happen, right? So these are the things that we have to this is the Rubik's Cube of the holiday that we have to kind of put together so that way we can make one dinner amazing. We can make that one dinner, just that one time of the year, special. You know, that's what matters. Next, we have to think about the dishes. So everybody likes to use paper plates. You know what I mean? Some people are fancy enough to use their own fine china, but personally, the paper plates make it so much easier because you can recycle them, you can throw them away, you can do your own thing, right? And then you don't have to worry about like a huge cleanup afterwards, especially, you know, except for the pots and pans that you've already you used to cook. But that can be easily figured out. But what I'm trying to get at here is plates. Now, some of you, well, a lot of people don't use like the fine china. You know what I'm saying? They don't use the real dishes. Now, that is perfectly normal. That is fine. That is a-okay. You can do whatever you want. I prefer a paper plate, but let's just say you're getting out the fine china, right? This is the crucial part, okay? How do you decide who gets the plates? Now, obviously, the grown-ups who get the plates, right? You would think, but it's about whoever's going to really sit down. I think the people who should get real plates are the people who are going to really sit down and enjoy that meal. The person who's going to sit down at that Thanksgiving dinner table and is not going to get up for a drink. Is not going to get up for anything else other than to sit down and enjoy that turkey and enjoy the rest of the holiday. That's the real moment. You know what I mean? Somebody who's going to really sit down and enjoy that thing. If somebody's moving around a lot, they're kind of, wishy-washy with it, then yeah, get them a paper plate so that way they can carry it. You know what I'm saying? But somebody who's really going to take their time, somebody who's really going to enjoy the meal, that's the person who gets the real plate. There's also bowls. You have to think, what about that? What's that thing called? The gravy, the little sauce thing that holds, it looks like a genie lamp. It's like, but you fill it up with gravy and then you pour it onto the mashed potatoes. What is that called? I don't know what that's called. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's that little container, that little glass like bowl looking thing, but it has like the pour at the end. Whatever. Bowls are definitely a necessity, for any number of reasons. Okay, what if instead of mashed potatoes you make a potato soup or a different kind of soup? What if you make chicken noodle soup? You can do whatever you want for Thanksgiving, right? You can make whatever you want. But I'm just saying, I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together myself, and I'm trying to say that bowls need to be considered. They need to be factored in, right? It has to be a part of the whole thing. What else is there? Utensils. Oh my goodness, utensils. So plastic is often the way to go, especially if you're using paper plates. You know what I'm saying? But you also need to think about cutting the turkey. You gotta think about cutting the ham. You gotta think about, there's so many things you have to think about. But I remember this one time I was invited to like this party. Yes, it wasn't like a party. It was more of like, it was just a sit down, whatever. You get with a group of people, you sit down, you have like whatever, steak and stuff, right? It was like a little small get together. They had a steak, right? They passed out steaks, but they gave you plastic knives to cut it with. And I remembered so clearly trying to cut this steak with the knife, and it wasn't cutting. It wasn't doing anything. I couldn't cut it. So then somebody else had like one of those X-Acto knives or like a Swiss Army knife, a blade or whatever, and they just switched it out, gave it to me to cut it. I cut it into the small pieces so I could enjoy it. And it was just the weirdest thing. I was like, I have no idea where this knife has been, but I trust this person, so I'm going to try it. So those are the kind of things we have to look out for. Obviously, it would be just a lot easier to cut it into small pieces beforehand, like as you're cutting the turkey, but it's just like, you never know. But plastic forks, plastic knives, plastic spoons, they do all the work for you, and it's easy. And there's also like a huge bundle of them in those boxes, so you can just take as many as you need as necessary. And then obviously you need napkins. This is like the one time of the year where like you need an abundance of napkins or paper towels, just something so you can clean messes up, because messes will happen. It is inevitable. If you've ever been to Thanksgiving, you know that somebody's going to spill something, something's going to drop, something's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it, okay? We all know it's going to happen, but that's why we have a little bit of leftovers, you know what I'm saying? So, and the paper towels will help clean it up, all right? It'll just make cleaning a huge, not as big of a deal as it could be. Okay, so you're going Thanksgiving shopping, and what's the number one thing for Thanksgiving? The food. You got to go out there and get the food. So, anybody who really knows food knows that. Well, okay, anybody who has the knowledge and the expertise for food knows certain things, but you know that the way that the grocery store sells, they sell like the classic stuff. You don't want the classic stuff. You don't want the same old. You know what I mean? You get it because that's what's there and you don't know anything else. But the people who really know, like, imagine the people who have that Turkey Connect, who got that prime, delicious, like, just, I mean, not to be, whatever here, but like, the people who honestly, who were there when the turkey got, what I'm saying? They got, before they got, ching, you know what I'm saying? Before they got a little sliced. Those people know the good, they know the good turkey, okay? Now, I'm not saying that all turkey is bad turkey, but I'm just saying there's a little bit of a difference when they mass produce the turkey as opposed to other places that really, work on the craft of giving and delivering a delicious turkey. So, anyways, the main courses. So, if you're going to go Thanksgiving shopping, you have to obviously think about what you're going to serve, and everybody knows you have to serve turkey. It's just the thing that you do. So, turkey. Now, when you're going Thanksgiving shopping for a turkey, what you really want is the biggest bird there for the least amount of price. I mean, for the lowest price. But obviously, they price it based on the weight. So, you got to just figure out, how can I get the best turkey and pay the least amount of money for it? Now, the way to do that is you obviously, prepare the turkey yourself. What do I mean by that? You buy a turkey. You raise the turkey from a little tiny turkey. You feed it. It becomes a member of the family. You really bond. You really connect, You spend years just taking care of that turkey, feeding it. And then one day you just know that that poor turkey is just at the right time, It's lived a long life. It's seen all it's going to see. It's enjoyed all it's going to enjoy. You know what I mean? It would be cruel to let it keep on. It would really be cruel to let that turkey just keep on wandering about without, you know what I mean? That turkey's not going to know what it's like to drive a convertible car, feel the wind blowing on its face, right? It's never going to know that feeling, okay? And it's not because you don't take it into the car. It's the act of driving the car in the first place. It's never going to know that feeling, all right? So you have to do what anybody has to do. And you have to eat that turkey. So instead of buying, everybody knows if you want the best turkey, it's just to raise it yourself, you know what I mean? And then obviously, nobody likes this, but you have to do the deed yourself, You have to get that turkey in the oven somehow, and it's not pretty, but it has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Or you can go the traditional route and just go to your local grocery store and get that butterball and, figure out, okay, what fits best for me and my family. You know what I mean? I've never known somebody to buy like 4 turkeys in like one go. But I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure somebody out there has definitely gone to the store and thought to themselves, yeah, I need 4 butterball turkeys and I need them all to be 20 pounds each. That's wild. But that's what Thanksgiving shopping is all about. They really get you with the turkey prices. I mean, they really get you. Anyways, next is the ham. Again, you could either go the traditional route or you could go the commercial route. Traditional route, you take a pig and you do the same thing that you did with the turkey, except when the time comes, you gotta face the, you gotta do what you gotta do, all right? And it's not pretty. It's not pretty. But it's a labor of love. You know what I mean? You gotta do what's right. For your guests and for yourself. So now you make this ham, okay? You're making this ham, and you could obviously buy it at the store. You know what I mean? That's not a big issue. But it becomes about like, how do you decorate it? Because they usually decorate it with like those pineapple, right? You know what I'm talking about? Where they put like the pineapple slices on it, and then they put like the cherries in it, give it a little sweetness. I think you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, those are the main courses for what I know. Is there any other main course? I mean, I've never known anybody to serve steak for Thanksgiving, but that's not a bad idea. Steak, nice little piece of beef. Anyways, after you've shopped for the main courses, now you got to move on to your sides. What are you going to serve alongside your main? Obvious number one is mashed potatoes. All right, everybody makes mashed potatoes. It's super simple, it's super easy, but not everybody can do it precisely. Some people do it out of the box. Some people do it with those potato flakes or whatever. You know what I mean? No shame in that, especially if you've never done it the traditional way, and it's just an easier way to like cook it. You know what I'm saying? And that way you don't have to worry about like getting the potatoes soft enough. You don't have to go through extra steps. It's not that complicated, but I'm just saying. Anyways, mashed potatoes are definitely a big one. All right, there's it's mashed potatoes. You know what I mean? As long as you cook it and you add like some cheese to it and milk and whatnot, like you'll turn out fine. Salt and pepper, very necessary. Anyways. Oh, next, mac and cheese. When you're shopping for mac and cheese, you don't just get you do mac and cheese better during this time of the year. Now, is mac and cheese necessarily like a needed side for Thanksgiving? No. Is it the time of the year where you can flex your mac and cheese skills? Yes. So, if you're going to do mac and cheese, you're not going to buy Kraft mac and cheese and just boil water and put in that powder thing. Even though it may taste delicious, those chemicals, it's absolutely amazing. No. You know what you have to do? You have to do it right. You have to do it the next level. You have to take it to the next step. All right? You have to get the pasta. If you really want to do macaroni and cheese, you make the pasta yourself. All right? But anyways, you buy the macaroni, okay? You get your cheeses, you get everything that you need, the milk, whatnot, and then you get ready. And then you make the best mac and cheese of your life in that kitchen. All right? I'm talking putting it all into a big thing, right? Into a big pan or whatever. Non-stick pan. Well, not like a frying pan, like one of those big, I forget what they're called. It's not a Dutch oven. No, I'm thinking about something else. Anyways, you put it in one of those things, right? One of those big dishes that holds macaroni and cheese, I guess. And then you put cheese on top, and then you sprinkle it with like breadcrumbs. Is that what it is? Yeah. You put like some sort of crumb on it, so that way it gets like a nice tough top texture to it. And then you take it out and it's all bubbly and it's all perfectly melted down. And then I promise you that little extra thing that you did, though, that cheese that you bought, just that little extra money that you spent on that cheese, necessary. All right, as opposed to buying just the big box of Kraft and you just put the powder in there, right? Buying that cheese was all the more worth it. All right, and that's a guarantee. You need vegetables, I know some people are kind of like, nobody really eats them and they get left over. You need vegetables, okay? You can't survive without vegetables. You need to eat clean, okay? To all the vegans out there, this is definitely for you. This is right up your alley, all right? Veggies are very important. Green beans, corn. You can have corn. Peas and carrots, I guess. I'm just naming a bunch of vegetables. Brussels sprouts are definitely up there. Broccoli, you could do broccoli. Let me think. I mean, you already have mashed potatoes, so potatoes are definitely on there. I would say, you know what? Make a nice salad. Have something on the side, like some cut up cucumbers, maybe with a little bit of hummus, maybe. Just little things like that, just to freshen it up a bit. I think a nice salad would do great wonders. Have a little bit of an Italian dressing or a vinaigrette to put on there. Maybe some croutons for that. Something simple, nothing too crazy. Oh, here we go. Sauces. Cranberry sauce. I mean, I personally can live without it, you know what I mean? But some people, they really like that cranberry sauce. So definitely put that on your grocery list. Stuffing. I like stuffing. Stuffing works as a great side. The bread. Oh my gosh, the bread. So some people do biscuits, some people do croissants, some people do buy Hawaiian rolls, dinner rolls, whatever, right? But the bread really makes it all, just that little tiny roll, that dinner roll does something. It's very special. It really helps the whole thing come together. It comes alive, really. And I think it has to be, it's a very underrated side. But we don't think of it as a side. We think of it as maybe more of a complement to the meal. It's not so much as a, because sometimes restaurants will put out bread for the, what's it called? Bread for the table. Or, they'll put different snacks out there. And bread will be the first thing. You put the bread out there, right? And when you put the bread out there, it just signifies to everybody that there's something there to eat. There's something there that you can have, and it's delicious. So the bread is a great idea. I think biscuits are a number one thing. You should definitely make biscuits. It goes well with the mashed potatoes and gravy. You can make them sweet. You can make them very savory, buttery, flaky. I think it's definitely a number one. You can definitely add that to it. But a regular dinner roll, Hawaiian roll, something sweet, something soft, something really delicious like that will work wonders for whatever you're making and whoever you're making it for. It's a universally known truth. So definitely put bread, a sweet bread of some kind or a complement to the meal on the list. Definitely goes a long way. Or you can make it yourself. That's definitely the go-to. Make it yourself and make plenty, because that's probably the number one thing everybody's going to want. Next are desserts. So you have to be prepared for anybody with a sweet tooth. All right, it can't all be savory. All right, just a little bit of sweetness. Just a little bit of sweetness. The number one thing for Thanksgiving is pumpkin pie. I really like pumpkin pie. It's Thanksgiving in a pie. It's just everything you want in a pie. It's sweet. It's the crust is nice and flaky, and it just. If you've ever had pumpkin pie, if you like pumpkin pie, but there are other alternatives. You can do pecan pie. You can do lemon meringue pie. You can do a chocolate pie. Let me think. You can do blueberry, apple, all the different, cherry pie. You can do whatever you want. But just as long as it's sweet and it fits the table. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people feel like pies are a go-to for Thanksgiving, but not necessarily. You could make a nice chocolate cake, like a huge chocolate cake for Thanksgiving. You know? You could put like a little turkey decoration on top of it or something like that. You know what I mean? You could do something like that. That'd be a great idea. You know what? You could also serve ice cream. Ice cream is not a bad idea. Maybe like a little soft serve, or you scoop it into some vanilla. Not vanilla. What is it? It's like a waffle cone, or those little wafers. You know what I'm talking about? Those ice cream cone wafers. That could work. Cookies. You could make Thanksgiving cookies shaped like turkeys. Probably not the shaped by turkeys part, but anyways, you get what I'm saying, right? You make a nice holiday Thanksgiving turkey cookie, so to speak, or maybe you make cake and then you put ice cream on top of it, or you make like a pie and you put you make like an apple pie and you put like vanilla ice cream on top, or you can make brownies and then you could put vanilla ice cream on top, or cookies and you could put ice cream on top. You know, really ice cream and like a baked good of some kind, you know, to put on top of it would really work wonders. So that way, while everybody's eating all of the good stuff, you could be baking a little bit more of the sweet stuff. So that way it comes out fresh and everybody gets it a little bit warm. Now, after you buy all of your desserts, after you buy all of your food, you have to think to yourself, okay, what happens if I buy too much of this, right? Leftovers. So you have to prepare for your leftovers. Number one preparation, aluminum foil. Because you already bought the plates, you already bought bowls, you already got all kinds of stuff, right? Now, if you want people to hold on to leftovers, you can't, you know, obviously you could put a plate on top of another plate, right? And that's like, oh, here you go. But aluminum foil will wrap it up a little bit nicer and neater. You could also do saran wrap. You could just buy more plates as well. That could definitely work. Or if you really, you know, know the person, or you can get like I don't think they have this. What am I talking about? I was about to say like temporary Tupperware, but like that doesn't make any sense. It's like it's a one-time use Tupperware, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of Tupperware. So maybe some Ziploc bags, maybe of like some food. Like if you have like a little bit extra veggies, you just put them in a Ziploc bag and you give them to your guests. Or maybe what is it? Maybe you just give them Tupperware, you know, full of food. Or you buy new Tupperware so you can put away food and store it away for later. Stuff like that. Really, really simple. But essentially, when you're Thanksgiving shopping, it's always smart to plan ahead. It's always smart to think about the next step. It's always smart to go, okay, what's next? And learning from last year's failures. You know, so if last year you had a little bit too much food and you still, you know, and you didn't throw away that, you know, that leftover, nobody really ate it, and then you had to throw it all away in a big like freezer refrigeration cleanse, and like by March you still have all that stuff and it's all rotten, and now you have to throw it all away, and you're just like, man, wasted all of that. You know, you don't want to repeat those same mistakes. You want to get rid of it all. So what do you have to do? You have to prepare for leftovers. You have to prepare for when Halloween time comes. It's also the perfect time, while everybody is distracted by the ghosts and zombies and monsters, to go out there and get that turkey. You know what I'm saying? It's also the time of the time to start thinking about, you know, obviously you could stress out about who's going to come, you know what I mean? But just knowing a definitive number will definitely prepare you for success. And figure out that number and then go a little bit extra. Just a little bit extra. You know what I mean? Just in case. All right? That way you're not like, I don't have enough food or blah, 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 right? That way you can be like, I have plenty of food, I have plenty more left over, and I've prepared for the leftovers so I know how to serve it and give it back to people who came over to my house to eat it, okay? And again, you know, just the main courses. You have to think about the turkey, the ham, figure out about side dishes. And you know what? Side dishes don't even have to be side dishes. They could be main dishes, all right? And main dishes, they don't have to be what I necessarily said, okay? You could make a cheeseburger your main dish, right? You could make, I think I said this last year, you can make turkey burgers for Thanksgiving, right? You could do anything you want for Thanksgiving, all right? That is the essence of this holiday, all right? But, maybe include a turkey. Maybe just throw a turkey in there for the sake of throwing a turkey in there, right? It's just a tradition, just a thing we do. But, you can maybe throw in like a small turkey, right? And then you can make turkey burgers on top of it, right? As like a, this is the real thing, and then we have the traditional thing, But I think people would like the turkey burgers a lot more. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. Go Thanksgiving shopping. If you haven't gone Thanksgiving shopping yet, they're really going to hike up the prices. You're going to wait till the last minute, and you're going to be like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then everything's going to be gone, and you're going to be picking at scraps, all right? You're going to be making a Thanksgiving chicken, which, Thanksgiving chickens are not bad. It's just, it's not a turkey. But I don't know. I don't think there's like a huge difference. And you know what? Sometimes people like chicken a lot more. But I'm just saying, does anybody make a Thanksgiving duck? They have to. There has to be somebody out there, right? There has to be somebody out there who makes a Thanksgiving duck. Anyways, go Thanksgiving shopping. And thank yourself. This is a way to thank yourself. I'm mostly talking to the people who are actually cooking for this season. But if you want to help out, you know what I mean? Do your thing. Thanksgiving shopping. All up to you. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.